I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy. Think that it was meant to be. Living in a
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Tactical Awareness. It is season 1, episode 28. We are working through the Yu Jing sectorials onto vanilla Yu Jing as we do another faction breakdown. This is going to be the Invincible Army, the Heavy Infantry specific, leaning into fire teams, all killer, no filler faction of Yu Jing. And we will break down that and do some listener mailbag, which finally has some mail in it. You can check the link, obviously, if you want to ask your own questions for us. So let's dive in, see what's going on with Owen and Dan, and get this going.
I feel like Teams always tells me to leave, or Zoom rather.
Just in case
He's recording. Get out.
Recording. It's recording. Run. Owen has his settings to bailing out of a call that's just started to record. Hey, everybody. It's time for another Tactical Awareness. It's episode 28 of season 1. And if you haven't caught up on last week's episode, we are kicking off Yu Jing in a new format, going through all of like the sort of greatest hits from newest to oldest of the sectorials, and then the core actually list. Because Dan's starting to paint remotes. He's got all his remotes. He's waiting on a few more models, but he's working on his Yu Jing for Infinity. And so we thought we would get back to doing another of these sweet faction breakdowns. We also have mail in the mailbag this week to go over, which is great, but this almost turned into a 40K podcast because everybody's been reading the new 40K stuff, and the new 40K app launched today, which means that Owen and I have both been painting Space Marines, as is tradition, with a new 40K thing. And I took a break from that this week and painted a bunch of O12 stuff. I managed to get my hands early on the Secudroid and the Sarco, so I painted them up. And I'm also painting, and Dan's not jealous because he's painting Yu Jing now, so he doesn't have to be jealous.
I'm jealous.
Don't be jealous. I painted my Wild Parrot and it made me so happy. I painted a little face on him because he's just like he looks like a.
Wait, that's a little potato guy?
Yeah, he looks like a minion from Minions dressed up like a parrot. It's adorable. I love him so much. I painted him. I painted the Sarco, and I painted, which is the SMG Sarco, which I think is probably the one you're always going to take anyway, the Wild Parrot SMG Forger. And I painted up my Secudroid with his adhesive launcher. It's so funny because he's huge, but he's basically like a robot blue coat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like he's just covered in sticky guns. Yeah, well, but I was telling me like he's a sticky gun like blue coat for 20 points.
Yeah.
So it means I'll finally be able to run. Well, not finally be able to run, but because I finished up my beta trooper, so I can run my beta trooper link. Yeah. And I want to play supplies next week, so I'm hitting up the supply containers from the ITS pack. I've been collecting those over the last couple of ITSs, which is weird because apparently they changed how they cast them at some point, and one of my containers is very different from the other two. It's like slightly bigger and the base is slightly different. Like it looks kind of the same put together, but there must be like two versions of them because I have a version that's on like a very wide base at the bottom, and the other two are very small. So I was going to magnetize them, and then I was like, oh, these aren't even the same. I don't know why these are so different. But that's it. That's what I've been doing for Infinity. And it's nice to get back to Infinity and not paint endless Space Marines. So I'm looking forward to playing a game next week. What about you, Dan? What have you been doing?
Organizing all my crap. I've just realized I have about, you know how you'd only need 10 models to play? That famous...
You proved that to be a lie very quickly.
I haven't played a game of Yu Jing yet, and I have about 60 models. And with the other boxes I need, I want to be able to...
Painted?
No.
Oh, wow.
I just have them. A lot of them are base coated, and a lot of them have like a first coat-ish on them, because I'd like to batch paint like crazy. And I keep it as simple as possible, although I want to take some more time on the characters, obviously. But like the other boxes I want are going to give me like another 35 models. So then I have like 90 models-ish of Yu Jing. And then I can start playing them.
I mean, you could just write a list, paint a list, write a list, paint a list. You don't have to do this like all at the same time, man. That's
Look,
how you eat an elephant.
you're not my
right?
dad.
Like, I'm just saying, like,
All
you
in,
eat an elephant one
coward.
bite at a time. You don't eat an elephant all at once, man.
You don't.
I mean, no, nobody does. This is just gonna break you. This is a terrible idea.
I go in waves. I go in waves.
That's fair.
I mean, I got 25 remotes. So
That's right, because you have all the hollow echoes too, because you're making hollow echoes
with the
for
hollow
all
echoes
of them
and all
too.
the
Yeah,
So I have 25 remotes.
that's wild.
Most of them are painted.
You're a shocking fool with the way that you've approached this.
Because no
This
one
seems
else,
like a
no one else
terrible
is going to
idea.
do it, so no one else will have seen it before. Because it's just ridiculous.
It's true. The more ridiculous the skew, the bigger the payoff. As
It's not
you've
even
clearly
that big of
been
a
playing
skew.
Owen way too much.
It's not even it's a skew in the remotes, but it's not a skew in the models. There's like 2 of each.
I get it. I'm just saying it's a skew into models in the sense that you need all like hollow echoes. It's a lot of hollow echoes.
Wait until we get into the Imperial Service. Then we'll talk about hollow echoes.
That's true. We're gonna get there today. Actually, next week.
Next week.
Imperial Service. Yeah.
Next week.
Today's Invincible Army. Well, besides painting yellow Space Marines, Owen, what have you been doing?
Painting yellow Space Marines.
It's a lot of yellow
40,
Space Marines.
45 of them, in fact.
Oh my god, that's a lot of yellow Space Marines just this week.
Half of them are heavy intercessors and aggressors. This is a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot of points. You probably painted like 3. Like that's the thing is like that's like 3,000 points of guys. Like you probably could stop.
It's not. It's
no.
not. It's not even 2,000.
What?
Oh wow.
Yep, it's crazy. I've been doing list building for it, and it's like, damn, I got a long way to go.
That's why you're gonna paint your 1990s Terminators to go with them instead.
That is correct.
Your teeny maters. I saw you sent me a picture of them, and they're all like old second edition Space Hulk Terminators, which made me laugh.
Half of them are like the plastic snap together ones, and then the other ones are like the metal
lead,
like ancient ass ones.
They're lead Rogue Trader Terminators. One of them's a Chaos Terminator too, which made me really happy.
Yeah, he's a
Rogue Trader Chaos Terminator mixed in there. Owen's absolute disregard for like when a model was made always makes me really happy. He has these ultra modern like Primaris Marines next to these like decrepit Terminators from all different generations of the 90s.
Wait until you see the 3 Baneblades line up, and it's like,
oh, that's right.
Like 2 normal Baneblades, and then there's the 1990 armor cast
resin armor cast
Baneblade. And he looks like the way I was making fun of how regular Space Marines looks like children next to the heavy intercessors. He looks like the runt Baneblade.
He looks like baby's first Baneblade.
He's like the size of a modern Land Raider.
Yeah,
like it's so small.
He looks like a Cars toy.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I did play a game this weekend though. But,
oh yeah, who'd you play?
Of Infinity. I played Aemon in our local games here.
Nice.
I played my Achilles list against I don't even remember what he played. I think it was Ariadne, and then it was supplies, and I murdered the shit out of him, and he murdered me, and the game ended in a tie because no one did anything. We didn't do any objectives.
Supplies. You just got thirsty. That is an absolutely classic Owen knocking himself out of the win because he can't stop killing.
I had the supply box at one point, and then he had the drop trooper come in and finish off what's her name? Pandora.
Oh, no. Pandora.
Yeah, Atalanta died immediately to like guy with rifle, as is tradition. She did nothing.
She either does amazing or she dies.
And then the random Thurakatai who was beside her was like, "All right, I'm Atalanta now," and then he kills like 3 guys from 32 inches out.
I will light rocket launcher this whole table.
No, just SMG.
Just SMGs. Nice.
From 36 inches away.
Yeah, they're like,
classic.
"Oh, we got to deal with Achilles." All right, well, this guy's gonna shoot you too. Yeah, he'll miss. He didn't miss.
AP rounds from 32 away.
Shock. Fuck you, Ariadne. Shock. No one's getting back.
no one comes back to life.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's McMurrow. Achilles. Yeah.
Achilles the Spitfire is a good dancer to McMurrow, just for all shots.
Even more so that we forgot about the terrain effects that Achilles had super jump that game.
Yeah, because it's train total. Yeah.
Later on. Yeah.
That can come into play, yeah. Sweet. Well, that sounds like a very classic Owen game where you got kill happy.
Yeah.
I
got the objective. I just didn't have it at the end of the game because I couldn't stop killing. I just once the gas goes down. He got the last turn and a guy walked in. And then I just couldn't kill him. Like he got shot like maybe 7 times walking towards Pandora, and he's just fine. It's like armor saves. Oh, those are my forte.
I see you've run out of killing because you spent the first turn killing. You've hit your preset kill limit.
We blinded him, shot him, templated him, hacked him. None of it mattered. He just walked past everything.
Just walked through everything.
And then shoots her and kills her.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, we got mail in the mailbag today. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do 3 questions per episode. I'm going to do a question from a different like listener each time because we've got some people who've like spammed in like 4 questions at the same time. I'll delete these from the file. We'll keep your link in the file and we'll discuss each of these questions. So the first one's from Emperor Norton L. That's for all of us. And the question's about flash pulses. It says, I keep hearing about how they're a lockdown defensive weapon and I just don't get it. What am I missing? Anybody want to take that?
I missed when they had burst 2.
So my understanding is that flash pulses usually have like a +3 range kind of thing, and then they're usually going off your whip, which is like 13 or 14 on whoever's kind of hanging around at it. So it's pretty decent high chance of you hitting. And it's sure like AR, like it's just one burst, but like if you hit somebody, there's a good chance that they're no longer allowed to attack for the rest of that turn. And so you have your cheap 7-point flash pulse bot standing, being like, hello, and you put them in cover and someone has to come fight them. And there's always that chance that you just make it so they can't attack anymore. And if they do win, then you've lost the 7-point flash pulse bot, and then you've slowed them down.
Yeah. So flash pulses are interesting. They go up and down in value depending upon the target, right? So against some armies, flash pulses can be incredibly useful because your army just doesn't have BTS. So against Ariadna, if it's not a total immune, like it's not a dog, basically, your BTS is 0, which means very often a flash pulse can like wreck someone's day. But you kind of need to know how to use them, and they kind of fall in different classifications. I think the most common flash pulse in the game you will see is the 3-point war core, right? You're going to see the 3-point war core because you had 3 points and you wanted to do something with it. And then the other one you're going to see very often is the dual ARO, repeater flash pulse bot. And that is like typically like a transductor. They're basically every human, even the aliens, all get a 7-point repeater bot that also has a flash pulse. Now, how you use those pieces is typically going to dictate how valuable they are and how good they are as a defensive piece. The best way I've used them is you pair them up with something that's lethal. So if you have an arrow, like a standing arrow piece in your army, something like an Atalanta or a neurocinetic model, something that's going to be arrowing anyway, if you put a flash pulse next to it, the chances of them opposing the flash pulse are less. Unless that model's totally immune or immune to stun, which is kind of a rare ability, then you've ended that guy's turn for not just attacking, but doing anything with the attack label, which typically means interacting with consoles, picking up objectives, paramedicing, doctoring. Anytime you get to look at something and use your hands in Infinity, if you are in the stun state, you cannot do it. So if you pair those pieces appropriately, you can very often get off an ARO that will stop a rampage before it starts. Now, the trick to using flash pulses is you want them to watch some lane where the piece that's going to be advancing, if you're going to counter deploy piece, if you're deploying second, has a 16-inch optimum range, and you have a lane that extends out to between 16 and 24. And if you can position them in that way where the thing they can see or the area of advance has you in optimum range and them in bad range, your flash pulse gets very effective very fast because it's typically pretty high rolling. If it's on a remote or even the war core, it's whip 13 plus 3 because it's an optimum range. And if you're a remote, you've got mimetism and cover typically if you placed it right. And if you're a war core, you're 3 points. You don't care if you die anyway. They can be super annoying and hard to shift. The remote ones also have the benefit of having a repeater, so they're hard to get to outside line of sight without having some kind of adverse reaction too. So they kind of like fulfill a dual role of like extending your repeater net and also having a flash pulse. So yeah, they're handy to have. If you're thinking about taking a stand-up ARO piece, think about putting a flash pulse next to it because it doubles their value and can end attacks and keep your stand-up ARO pieces safe. But again, know how to use them. Don't expect them to look at the whole table at 32 inches and survive. And if they're worth a regular order, like a some type of like repeater bot, then either be willing to lose that order or have them looking at some obtuse area where they're getting the advantage and there's no disadvantage to like being active turn attacked in a way that I think will just kill you and you lose an order. And that's it. That's how I look at those arrow pieces. Anything to add, guys?
I've had effectiveness with like hidden deployment arrow pieces. You put like the flash pulse in front, and like, well, I'm just gonna murder this flash pulse bot. And you're like, but also I reveal this piece and shoot at you. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, there's
do
a few
I try not
ones.
to die? Or do I try not to? And then you're like, meh.
There's a few clutch FOs that have flash pulses that will surprise people too. Like the Tsukio Commando, I think in Toho has an FO with a flash pulse. There's a few like random flash pulses out there too on non-FOs, on characters. They can very often be a sacrificial play too. If someone's gonna like berserk you or melee you, flash pulse them because they'll be unopposed. And then that guy's rampage is over if he fails his BTS test, right? Because he's going to kill you probably with whatever that berserk attack is, but then he's stunned afterwards, and that rampage just stops. So it's a worthwhile trade sometimes if you have a flash pulse to drop it on people.
It is possible to get rid of it, but if you have the wounds characteristic, a doctor has to be in silhouette contact, use an order.
Yeah.
Or if you have the structure, an engineer has to be in silhouette contact with you. So it's super order intensive to remove that ability normally
versus just waiting.
So essentially you've locked them down. They can't attack anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're cool when technical weapons got additional burst.
Hey, it's over. Stop bringing it up.
Fucking stop living in the past.
Now I just sit there and go, if it works out, great. If not, it's just as well.
Yeah.
I don't put any thought into it usually. If I get somebody with a flash pulse, it's like serendipity because whatever I actually wanted to happen didn't work out, and now I'm just like left with flash pulses.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're a piece of equipment that you don't depend, like nothing in Infinity is dependable. Literally nothing in the game. Everything can fail. So it's just about knowing how to apply it when you have it equipped.
You haven't played Joan.
I sure have. She can fail. Trust me. She can fail.
Armor saves.
She can fail. All right. Our next question is from Hopi. It's for all of us. And it says, what's the model that gives you the most fun on the table? And then double part, what was the model you enjoyed painting the most? And could those be the same thing? Let's start with Dan. What was the model that you enjoy playing the most on the table?
The Lynx. The Lynx in 012.
Really? That's a surprising answer.
I love playing with that model. No one plays with them. Everyone thinks they're bad, so no one expects them. Between the sniper rifle and the plasma rifle combo, you can just ruin people's day in the most fun way. And it's just you feel a little sneaky, and like with the min-6, it's like sometimes it's just like if people don't have that answer or you've killed their MSV guys, you're just like hee hee. And it's just a little dick model that can die to a stiff breeze, but also be a huge pain in people's sides, and it's really fun to play with. As for painting, I really enjoyed painted the Zeta. It was the first Infinity model I painted, and it was just really fun to paint a big robot. I haven't painted a robot in a while.
It is a cool model. You painted it first too, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. What about you, Owen?
I mean, if it's the Magriba guard, like,
nah, it's no surprise.
Giant tag, he does his thing,
and he's a cool model. He's just cool. I remember when he came out, you were so excited about that model.
Yeah, I just bought 2 of them right off the bat.
I remember. Yeah. Because he's the spider.
I need to cash in all my Terminator or tournament points.
That's right.
Yes. Here, gather up all my tournament gift cards.
Your War Machine tournament gift cards.
Yeah, all my War Machine tournament gift cards. That's how I got it, playing War Machine. Yeah, it's a Magriba guard. It's one of those things that, like, when you start opening up that mind gun combo, people are like, oh, this is how this is going to go. Because you do it once and they're like, oh, shoot, that's really obnoxious. And then you do it for every single fight, and you can see it in people when they're like, oh my God.
Hang on. So what you're saying is you like Scott Tenormaning people? Like, that's what you like doing? You like making people sad? That's what your favorite model to play with is? The one that makes the people the saddest?
Yeah.
You're a sociopath.
Yeah. And then the other side of the coin, when you're like, no, don't kill my Magariba guard. He's my most important piece. And then it's like, this is McMurrow.
Welcome to the rest of the army, because he's not that expensive.
Or here's the Fide, or here's whatever, and it's like,
or here's the other Magariba card.
Yeah. The double deploy Magariba guard is always funny when you go to play somebody and they're figuring out what your list is, and like it doesn't work around here anymore because everyone just knows that I like playing that a bunch. But you go somewhere, you play at some larger event, or even just people who don't know you as well, and you like put up your list and you like deploy a Magariba guard, and they're like, ooh, that's risky, and they like put up a guy like standing sniper, like an Atalanta or something like that, like watching it. So they're like, ha, we got him shut down. And then I'm like, okay, and my reserve model, and you put the second Magariba guard to save the first one, and it's like, uh-oh. Feels good. I don't like painting any models, so there's nothing to be said there.
Fair enough. He doesn't like painting. Painting is, he's like the bodybuilder eating nothing but like was it chicken and broccoli. It's just a function. It's just fuel. We paint them because they're fuel.
Yeah. I eat nothing but mashed or hard or baked potatoes that I let cool and then ate the following day.
Like you're the Martian, like you're Matt Damon in the Martian. Solid. All right, so our last question. I guess
what do you like?
I guess
some kind of Toha bullshit.
No, actually, I've lost that though. When Toha were like common and prevalent, I liked playing with them because they were different. They were just like a different kind of army. I lost that enjoyment because they became that thing you described where it's like,
surprise, dickbag, dead.
Yeah, no one knows how this works. So like, I'm gonna crawl on this rooftop and I'm gonna kill everything with mine bullets. It's gonna smell funny. My farts are just gonna kill the whole world. Like, I don't like it when people don't know how stuff works. I think probably my favorite model I'm playing with right now, it's probably the Gator. He's so fun. He also has a mind dispenser, so it's funny that Owen and I have kind of the same in this regard, because he does have that option. But I think I like that he's like a sleeper melee guy, and that he has more tricks than just shooting things with like a multi HMG. I like him. I think he's cool. He's got NCO, so you can hide your lieutenant. He's a fun piece. I'm looking forward to playing something new and different though, when this season kicks off and starting a new season army like for 15. And I want to finish my Bakunin before then too. So yeah, I think that's it. I think it's the Gator. And then model I painted that I'm really happy with right now and I really liked playing with. I get the most fun I had painting a model recently. There's probably the new Morats.
Fun painting a model.
I really enjoyed painting the new Morats. They're fun. They were just a fun army to paint. What's that?
So how do people enjoy painting? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I just like being alone.
It's only
alone with my
hobby.
Thoughts. That's why I like painting. Being alone with my thoughts. I don't know. I like listening to podcasts. I listen to Tom and Jeff watch Batman and paint miniatures, and it makes me happy. As they're currently going through, I'm listening to the part where they go through the Batman the original series, and it's tremendous. Because I don't know, I'm listening to Batman Beyond actually right now, and Bruce Wayne's a complete sociopath. That makes me really happy. And Terry McGinnis is having to deal with old Bruce Wayne, which you can only imagine is more decrepit and angry than current Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I like paint miniatures. I like getting projects done. Yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
So
for me, I used to not like painting miniatures. It was like I got to get through this because I love building miniatures. The more complicated the model, the better. Like, if you give me the most horrendous model in the world, I'll be like, yes, I must build this.
You have assemblyitis.
Get it done. And then I was like, oh, get through the painting. And I was like, yeah, I like to play. But now it's like, I really like to paint. And like sometimes I'll like batch paint and just like get through it so I can get it done. But then other times I'll just like take my time on a model and just like pick out little details, and it's just relaxing. It's just really stress relieving. Just the older I've gotten and the more I've gotten to the hobby, I really see the benefit of it, and I really like it.
I find the hobby pie of like what you like about miniature wargaming and tabletop games in general tends to like even out. You know what I mean? Like you start off like running really hard into one thing and you tend to like broaden it over time.
You'd think.
Unless you're Owen. In which case, Owen's just calcifying into his likes and dislikes. He's just Owen's turning into Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. He just gets more and more angry and decrepit on his porch as time goes on.
And racist.
No, I didn't mean that part. I didn't mean that part of Gran Torino.
You're gonna complain about Koreans again?
Is this? Are we doing awkward shit?
Later?
Is this Dan's awkward shit moment again? You just have to say awkward shit every single episode.
I like Koreans.
Jesus Christ, Dan. It's so good. It's so lucky that we can't monetize these podcasts in Canada because we'll be getting demonetized immediately.
Look.
No, I'm done. Just shut up, Dan. I'm cutting your mic.
Your best friend's Korean. I get it.
Oh my God.
Racism is so prevalent in miniature wargaming. Like orcs hate Eldar for just the sake of being Eldar, and the Morats. We just hate the Morats.
Make the
just
case.
because they're Morats.
Go on. Justify it. Keep going.
It exists.
I'm all done.
I'm
cutting his mic. I'm cutting his mic. I'm cutting his mic. His mic's cut. That's it. He's done. He's out. Everybody, that was Dan's last appearance on the podcast. I'm just kidding. So we have one last question, and this is a joke question because I keep fucking this up in games, and people are making sure I know this rule. Hippico asks, just me, how many saves do you roll for stun ammunition in N4? And do you guys know what the answer is?
2. Say that again.
How many saves do you roll for stun ammo in N4?
Like from the flashballs?
Yep.
2.
Yeah, it is 2. But it's one of the last nested rules because almost everything else that makes you make 2 saving rolls is DA. And this one isn't DA, it's just stun typed ammo. And so I keep forgetting when I look at my flash pulse weapons that I make 2 saves or not, because it's actually that rule is nested under the stun ammo type. So
same with EM.
Yeah, exactly. So same with EM. I remember EM usually, but stun ammo I'm always forgetting. So yes, I will remember stun ammo is 2 saves. But whenever I look at the app, it just says stun, doesn't say DA, and I completely miss the fact that it is 2 saving rolls per impact suffered.
He only remembers when he's shooting the stun weapon.
Classic Ash.
Classic Ash.
Like Owen telling me that CC doesn't happen in the game.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
That's right. While he's doing
me wrong.
While he's CCing you, he says CC doesn't happen. CC never happens while he's CCing you. Stop hitting yourself.
Nobody does it. Shooting is the way to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, shooting is the only way you kill people. As I slowly stare you in the eyes and stab you like that guy at the end of Saving Private Ryan. While going. That's that is the worst death. That is the most brutal death in that movie. Yeah, that is absolutely the most brutal death in that movie. When that guy gets stabbed, it is horrifying and apparently completely ad-libbed. Not in the script whatsoever. They just completely ad-libbed that whole thing, and it was absolutely horrifying. All right, well, we got through. That was our listener mailbag. Tremendous. We get to now go through Invincible Army, and I'm excited about this. It's a little bit like Invincible Army is to Yu Jing, a little bit like what the Military Orders is to Pan-Oceania. It is a heavy infantry, like in the forefront list. It's all about very strong fire teams. It minimizes the other fire teams in the list, although it does have some interesting remote mixing in the fire teams.
Wait, can I skip ahead? Look, ignore the light infantry. You have a medium infantry lieutenant, and then you take a bunch of heavy infantry.
Okay, so fire team wise, you can take a Xanshi, Core, or Harris with a mech engineer, which is the Xanshi tag, or Bixi. The Invincible fire team is everybody else. So Bixis, Shangxis, and Zuyongs. Duo Harris or Core. You can add a Rishi, but it doesn't have the fire team composition tag, so you would lose your composition bonus. You can get a Yan Hao fire team, which is the Zuyongs with the giant size 5 guys, FTO, Duo and Harris. A Shock fire team, which is Moangs, Hulang, FTOs, and Guages as duos. Forward fire teams with Hulangs and Cockrum. And the wild cards are Shangji's, as always, with the Invincible tag. Hadao's, Hulang FTOs, Sanbei Yekongs, Pangling FTOs, Tai Sheng Invincible tag, Cockrum FTO, Chief Zhang, Qinggao, and Li Gong all with the Invincible tag, which means they can all fire team in the Invincible fire teams. And as Dan kind of blurted out there at the beginning, we're not going to redo a bunch of things from previous episodes. So Chief Zhang, the ITS specials, the mech engineer, the Zhanchi, and the Zhanchi Sheng are your light infantry choices. They are exactly the same as in our previous episodes. So Zhanchi's +1 dodge, light infantry, worse BS, better whip than like the standard Fusilier and Pano.
I said ignore the light infantry.
Well, ignore them in your composition, sure. But I'm saying is they even get ignored like in this list. There's literally only 1, 2, 3, 4 native light infantry choices in here, and they're all just the variation of the Zhanchi. And that's it. So because of the Zhanchi Sheng, the mech engineer, which is a Zhanchi engineer, the Zhanchis, and Cheng Hezhong, who's also a mech engineer Zhanchi, right? So it's just 4 Zhanchis basically as the profiles, because the War Corps, the Sectet, and the Corsair are not native to this list. They're just added on.
So won't use any of those guys.
You definitely won't. No, unless you got odd points to fill and you're looking for regular order, in which case you'll probably take a remote.
And you I didn't want to take a remote for some reason.
The only thing you might find yourself taking is the mech engineer if you're worried about EM stuff to get yourself back online.
If only you had some kind of cockroom.
Oh, that's right. Kirk Carbon's engineer, isn't he? Yeah. So if you're not using Kirk Carbon, I'm just saying the only thing you might take is that.
And you didn't like Hadao's.
Yeah.
There's no reason. There's no reason for any of these guys.
Because they have better whip.
Yeah.
The Yi Sheng and the mech engineer both whip 13. I think the other guys are all whip 14, right?
No, the Hadao's 13, but
is he?
He's also a Hadao, so he's got like courage and no wounding cap and
more things.
Arm 3 and shock immune and blah 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 blah. Like he's got
this army's probably trying to build a core and a Harris. You're probably trying to lean into having the mechanical power of fire team, jacking up the mechanical power of the following units, not the light infantry units in this army. And so let's start with some of those guys who I believe are wildcards, which is actually no, neither of them are wildcards. These are your kind of like off by themselves guys. The Dao Ying,
invincible wildcard.
The Dao Ying operative control. Is he invincible wildcard?
No, the Li Gong is.
Li Gong is, yeah. So Dao Ying operative. He's medium infantry. So tell me about this guy, Owen.
Is this the Thighs character? Is that who I'm remembering now?
The Dao Ying is the camo
unit.
It is. He's the camo unit,
yeah. I feel like he's 100% your lieutenant.
Yes, I do too. But not certain ones. I wouldn't take the hacker because it makes him vulnerable. I think the +1 order mine layer is amazing.
With a multi-sniper for fun too.
Yeah, and shock mines for fun.
But
the surprise attack camo shock
22 points.
The 22-point one I think is the better choice, but
yeah. If you're not going after the +1 order, I think the +1 order you go for.
It is still +1 order.
Oh, there's a boarding shotgun for 22 points. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 12 points less. Thank you. I'll take that.
He just sleeps, and you
have
all
two
NCOs. Just grab all the orders and have fun with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do have access to plenty of NCOs here. He sleeps until turn 3, and then turn 3 he can get up and do something because he's still surprise attack, camo, shock immune, mimetism, stealth, and on a fairly decent fighting platform too. Arm 3 BTS3 with BS12. Like it's not great, but it's not nothing for like a skirmisher for 22 points. I mean that's cheaper than most other armies MIM camo models. You know what I mean? That's the price of like an SAS.
For some reason, you could take 3 of them.
You sure can. Yeah. Which means not only does this army have like powerful fire teams, you can have powerful midfield presence too. That's kind of why I like the mine layer one, because it's got like and you're less SWC too for the mine layer one with the multi-sniper, which is only 1 instead of 1.5. Because you could go turn 3.
Because normally a sniper is 1.5 and mine layer is half 1. So it should be like 2, but they discounted it instead.
Because the lieutenant profile makes it vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah, lieutenant sniper's risky.
But on turn 3. Turn 3 you don't care, right? Turn 3 you just get up and fight.
Yeah, but who's snipeable on turn 3? Sometimes.
Well, the mine layer also disguises your location, right? Because you're both -3 like camo markers, so you can not know which is which if you take the mine layer, which is I think the valuable part of that.
I mean, the other side of the coin is for 10 points more, you could just have 2 of them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So then we got Li Gong. Sorry, any more comments on this guy?
Just
nope.
You think he doesn't work great as a midfielder because he doesn't have advanced deploy in any way? Like he doesn't get to he starts in your deployment zone?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
There's no infiltration.
No infiltration, yeah.
No infiltration, so I like him as a sleeping undead.
Yeah.
There is an argument for the mind layer, though, for sure.
Yeah. And if he's going to sleep, I think this multi-sniper is cool because it just gives you that ability to last turn pick something off.
But you have a lot of opportunities to use Swick in this list.
You sure do. And let's look at Li Gong with his same stuff as last time. He's super situational, chain of command, SMG, immune shock, no wounding cap, albedo, MSV1, or a shock marksman rifle. He's your mimetism hunter. I think all of our comments from last episode where he's like a list 2 option if you think you're going to fight a stand-up visor piece.
Yeah. And being counts as invincible with chain of command and albedo MSV, I mean, yeah, you can bring him if you want him.
Yep.
Like, do you think? Yeah, list 2. Does the other side? Are they playing Steel Phalanx?
Yep.
Bring him.
Or Varuna. Yeah, Steel Phalanx, Varuna, actually, or Morats too, because you're gonna fight a Yaugat probably.
Any 3 of those, and you bring this guy, and he goes, "Yep, I'm here. I'm gonna just leave the link at the beginning, or maybe I'll bring them with me if it works out."
Put him in the Harris, maybe. Yeah.
Find the second guy in the link and then kill them, or just like, "I'm coming for you, Atalanta, but I'm gonna get you right point blank."
Yeah, you stick him in the Harris, I think. But give him a Harris and have him go hunt the MSV pieces. But yeah, he's list 2. And that's it. That's our whole light infantry, medium infantry list. And then we've got the thickness, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 heavy infantry profiles. Starting with Bixie, who's still a boss. I love Bixie. She's great. MSV1, martial arts 3, courage, dodge +6, so she dodges on 18s. Dodge +2, so you're always dodging. Shock immune, FO, stealth, NCO, super jump, clapping plus. Has that flash pulse we're talking about. EM close combat, multi-rifle. Still 41 points, still spendy, but what a point man piece. What a cool point man piece.
I think she's fighting for her life in this faction. There's like 15 guys who do all the same job.
Not with MSV though. Not speedy with MSV and all those climbing skills. Being able to wall run with her is super nice for a point man model. Being able to dodge into line of sight too. And she fights.
And she has the invincible tag and the invincible fire team.
And she's NCO. So if you're taking that double lieutenant, she can eat those orders for you.
But I honestly, she doesn't make any of my lists. Like, she's amazing, but she just doesn't fit in. I like the other models. I like leaning into the other models more.
That's fair.
Because Cockrum is just more valuable in my opinion.
Also good, and also in the same point brackets. You're right.
Yeah.
What about this guy though as a lieutenant option +1 order? Captain Chang Gao, an invincible officer. This is the HMG dude from Defiance. He's your heavy in Defiance. What do you think about this guy?
No,
I made a list with him. Go big. Give him the lieutenant order. Why not? You have chain of command. What's the worst that could happen? He's not very good. I wouldn't recommend it.
No, he's a brute force piece in a sea of brute force pieces in this faction.
If he had an AP HMG, that'd be pretty cool.
Yes,
right. There's an argument for him then, but
yeah, because then he'd be special. He's not just like
another HMG.
Yes, I am the other Shang-Chi.
I'm the worst Shang-Chi because the Shang-Chi has an AP HMG.
Also, mine isn't AP. Also, mine doesn't have built-in shock. We got +1 damage, but if I die, you're less a lieutenant.
Yeah,
it's a weird case for him.
Yeah, he's just a weird profile. I think he's just competed out by other people in the faction. Then you've got your hidden deployment unit. This guy's your Swiss guard, but he's different.
He's poor.
Yeah. Oh, he's in the 60-point range, which isn't bad. And this is the Hacktow special unit. He is your BS14 piece. I don't know if you have another one actually in this faction. Do you?
Yeah, we got a few.
The Yan No, I don't think you do. You've got Tai Shang get a character.
Yan Huo.
And the Yan Huo's the size 5s are 14s, aren't they? Now and your says your tag. So you got a character, you got your big size 5s, and you got the tag that's also 14s. This guy's your man-sized BS14. Arm 5 BTS 6, 2 wounds, shock immune, stealth, camouflage, hidden deployment, mid -6. He's your super predator.
The problem is he doesn't have. He's stuck in your deployment though.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, but he has an HMG and a sniper.
Yeah, I guess.
Or not a sniper, missile launcher.
Yeah.
And also a hacking profile, which is interesting. But I love his NCO HMG profile. It's the most expensive one, but if you're gonna get the HMG and you're gonna have the extra order, why not? And
yeah, I mean, Min-6 is pretty sweet with 2 wounds and arm 5.
Yeah,
no smoke in this faction, which is kind of a downer. But not that he had MSV, but just a comment on those other MSV guys.
But surprise attack BS14 with an HMG can be a real dismantler, right? And that extra order from the NCO letting you get back into camo and stuff too. You can always get to the angle you want to get to, and then you shoot it, but someone at a -12.
Yep.
That's a huge fight. Oh yeah, definitely spendy. In a spendy list too. I think the Hackdow is really interesting in vanilla. I don't know if you take him here again because I think in this list you're leaning into the mechanical power of your fire teams. That's going to price this guy out. Still a cool profile though.
Hackdow.
The Hackdow. So where's this guy available? Is he available to a fire team? No.
Yeah.
Is he where?
Wild card 3 of them into anything.
Oh, he is. That's right. Yeah, he's a wild card. So you'll ruin your composition bonus with this guy, but you do get relatively inexpensive unit fillers if you want to do it. So they're cool for a Harris because they can make a Harris cheaper in like the 20-something point range. They're like fake heavy infantry because they're not 2 wound. They're 1 wound, no wounding cap, shock immune.
That comes up a lot here too.
That comes up a lot.
We've actually already brought it up because it came up with the medium infantries, like Legon.
That's right. Yeah, and these guys, this faction invented this like no wound, like 1 wound, shock immune, no wounding cap is like a thing. They're also trained 0G, which means that in this ITS season they can occasionally get into super jumping, which is kind of neat. And you've got a million profiles that are like techie.
I mean,
I don't know if
you get your engineer option. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're getting the tech stuff out of these guys because Zhu Yongs are like the same cost as the Hackdow. But the Hackdow get things like MSV2, Engineer, Killer Hacker, Chain of Command, and like they're all still in the 20 to 30 range.
Yeah. And the Chain of Command has D charges too.
I don't know if there's a Chain of Command who doesn't have D charges. Oh,
really?
I take it back because Li Gong is that one. Yeah, maybe it's an engineering thing that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the engineers usually have them. That's why I thought it was weird because the Chain of Command had them in this case too.
Yeah, I think these guys are just you're building your one of your 2 sides of the coin if you're going the Shang Ji route or the Zhu Yang route. But Zhu Yangs can join Shang Ji's. So like if you need the guy, like if you needed a Chain of Command, which I think you should bring, because like you're probably bringing the Dao Ying, and like that's going to be the camo marker.
Yeah.
And so if they get to them, having a Chain of Command is not bad. And for 26 points and has D charges and is just a relatively cheap guy in that 3-man team, that's, or MSV2. If you don't have an MSV2 elsewhere.
I was gonna say, I actually really like these guys as your Harris backup for the Rishi, right? Because the Rishi is also MSV, so you could take the Engineer and the Killer Hacker. The Rishi, I believe, has a repeater, which means you can slingshot the Rishi.
Solo. So the Rishi,
no, the Rishi's in the Invincible Fire team, and then you wild card these guys onto the Rishi.
Right, but you need at least 1 Zhu Yang or Shang-Chi.
No, you don't.
Do you? Why?
Oh, wait, there's Min Star.
That's not one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you don't need Min of anything.
Nope.
No, the Yanhuaos and the Zhangshis have minimum requirements.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the Star meant one of them had to be Min 1.
I don't think so.
Man,
maybe. Maybe one of the 2 has to be Min 1. Yeah, you could be right.
But it doesn't actually say that.
Okay.
So maybe not. No.
Either way, you could take Bishi, a Rishi, and then that if you wanted to have like a little like tactical fire team with an Engineer. I just think these guys are good backup for your Harris. So I think I'd use them for the Harris team.
Yeah.
Keep the Harris cheap because you're not worried about composition bonus in a Harris, right? And it just keeps your costs down. So like that Killer Hacker and Engineer profile I think are really cool. And if you're not using the Rishi, then that MSV profile could be cool as well.
But if you get composition bonus, you get +3 to discover.
Yes, but you do that for your big link. That's where we get. That's where we get the Invincible Fire team. So let's talk about your forward deployers. These are your midfield masters, the Hulang Shock Troops. I actually really like the models for these guys. Martial Arts 2, min -6, specialist operative baked in, so you don't have to worry about what else they are. Stealth, and these are the same no wounding cap, shock immune. So they're not heavy infantry in the traditional sense with 2 wounds. They have 1 wound, shock immune. Only BS 12, but how in min -6? It's real good. You know, stack a lot of mods, and then you've got 2 forward deploy options at +8 and 2 FTO options. I think they're pretty different, actually. The forward deploys have like light flamethrowers, EM grenades. One has a submachine gun with +1 burst and a crazy koala, which I love, but they're very spendy, these ones. The fire team ones have the same ish loadout, except one has a multi rifle and no grenades as opposed to the combi rifle.
I feel like they need camo.
Mim 6 is pretty good.
It is, but it's like
my layer crazy koalas doesn't really care about having camo. Right.
That's fair. That's fair. But
they're 42 points. They're so expensive.
They're paying a lot for that monofilament CC weapon.
Yeah. And their EM grenades, they're crazy koalas. Like they're carrying a ton of points a year. So
but they're only Fizz 12, so the EM grenades are like you know, compared to other things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like they're like almost really good in so many ways, but they're just kind of like that mid. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and they're priced like crazy.
Yeah, that's the reason I don't know what they're doing, because it's like, well, why are they? What am I sacrificing to bring this guy instead?
Yeah, I don't think they're bad. I think when you're trying to build a Corona Harris though in this list, you're gonna find you're having a hard time fitting this Hulang Shock Troop in.
I mean, I think a Mim 6 SMG +1 burst guy in a Harris team is pretty terrifying.
Sure,
he turns into like a point blank HMG.
Sure is with AP.
And like you have like him plus the like a random Zhu Yang, and then maybe a Spitfire tier Zhu Yang, and like that trio is going to be under 100 points
in every range band.
They can fight everywhere, and then this guy literally just bulldozes directly towards the objective and then towards the enemy.
And no one wants to get EM grenaded.
And if he has to coordinate suppression with his 2 friends, they're still terrifying because he's point blank Mim 6 suppression cover, probably like dig me out. And then template weapons come after him and he goes, yeah, I have 2 wounds. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool.
I think the 36.1, is the one. If I was going to pick one, probably you're right. Yeah. And but he's a wild card. So you got to pick another team for him to go into. Yeah.
Yeah. The Zhu Yangs, I think, is the way to go because they're cheap. Cheap.
Oh, sorry. He's baked into the Shockfire team. So you don't. But they're only duos then. Oh, they're only duos then. That's right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't bother there. I'd go directly to big team.
Yeah.
Because Cockrum could join it too. So you could just have that trio where you're like, it's not a forward fire team. It's actually a Zhu Yang team. And it's Cockrum, a Hulang, and pick your favorite Zhu Yang.
Now, Craig Cockrum, he's got all the things. He's an engineer NCO. He's got courage dodge +2. He's got a full 2 wound kit. So he's a real heavy infantry, 6'2". Got a forward deploy and then 2 FTO options. Now, the heavy shotgun emitter E-mines deployable repeater forward deploy at 41 points is interesting. Heavy pistol +1 burst. He actually fights at CC19 with burst 2 in melee, which is kind of neat. But the +1 damage FTO 36 point multi-rifle is another really good, dependable point man for a fire team.
I think that's your winner.
Yeah, the trio is Hulang FTO with the SMG +1 burst, this guy with his +1 damage multi-rifle, and then the Zhu Yang TAC-aware combi rifle tin bot.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's go, friends. We can do everything.
That's right. And we can fix our own. Go ahead and jammer us. Crit will fix it.
Yeah. Oh, you're also -6.
That's right.
Be gone.
Yeah. Crit's cool. I think he's cool. I think it's so many profiles in this list are 41 points. Have you noticed that? There's so many characters that are all 40, almost exactly on the nose, 40, 41 points. But I do think if you're going to be investing in heavy infantry, having a guy who can undo statuses and stuff like that with a decent whip that can be part of those fire teams is maybe worth investing in. So whether it's this guy or it's the whatchamacallits, the Hulangs? No, the Hadao's.
So the thing with crit is he's BS13. He's got good weapons. He's got 2 wounds and decent armor, and he's got NCO. Ignore the fact that he's an engineer and he's worth taking.
Sure.
Add the fact that he's an engineer, and I think he's almost auto include in this faction.
He can peace trade too, chain colt and decharges. Yeah. And he can do other objectives too, yeah.
I think he's great. And his model's really cool too.
His model is very cool and modern. All right. Well, now we're on to Owen's favorite jump infantry.
Yep. This is the actual best jump infantry in Yu Jing.
says Owen.
Because for a grand total of 4 points.
Because think about what this is. It's a gimmick. And who loves a good gimmick?
Ash.
Who more than Owen loves a good gimmick? Well, and also not only is it a good gimmick, it's an AVA4. I don't even know why it's AVA4, but the fact
all the jump troopers, all the jump troopers get AVA4. That's just a rule across all of them. And this is the jump trooper. Yeah, every sectorial has an AVA4 jump troop.
Amazing.
Or parachutist, because some of them don't get the drop.
Yeah, some of them jump trooper.
But the reason, jump 14.
Well, here, so combat jump Fizz 14, so he gets plus Fizz, which means you go to a 17 if you support him with EvoBot. Yeah, with assisted jump. And he has explosion on his combat jump, which means when he arrives, he puts a template down, and that template is what, damage 13?
Yep.
So just a damage 14 blast that
shot by a
slams into people. He gets shot by a counter rifle if he just lands next to you. This is Owen's absolute favorite thing.
This and is only damage 12.
Oh, it's only damage 12?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Yeah, this is the best drop trooper, with the exception of the other drop trooper who can jump explode in Morads.
The little robot one.
Because like there's no defense against this. You can't protect yourself against this guy in any meaningful way. If your opponent has this, it has the most likely ability in the game, because there's like nobody rolls 17s. Atalanta shooting on 18s is like this notable thing in the faction that makes her so crazy. This idiot hits you with a combi rifle on a 17 with no defense against it. Like the best you get is a dodge -3.
There is a dodge. Well, yeah, if it's in the rear arc, you get a dodge -3 against it. You do get your dodge. So it's a direct template attack with damage 12. So
and if you dodge, he's beside you now. And the dodging gets much worse when the boarding shotguns open up.
Sure. Yeah.
If you shoot him in ARO with your one shot, because he's sniffed out who your lieutenant is among the random what are they called, kappas in the backfield, he just lands on that guy and kills him. And if he doesn't kill him, odds are he doesn't die in the process, and then starts boarding shotgun until the problem is solved. Arm 3, no wounding cap, shock immune. Like,
have a Spitfire, can have a boarding shotgun. Owen's gonna take him with a boarding shotgun because it'd be the cheapest profile there.
Yeah, because
but you can also get specialists and hackers with a boarding shotgun too if you want to spend more points.
Yeah, but this guy is just an assassination piece. He's a Fide without any screwing around with infiltration and being discovered. He's just that one's your alpha. Boom, hit him with this attack. Did you make your dodge? No,
I don't know what happens afterwards if you take 4 of these. Like if you invest 128 points into Lu Ching's, and let's say you also take the remote to support them, so you're looking at like 140 points. Yep. I don't know what the next turn looks like after that, after you've like rained from the sky. It's just
if they're in loss of lieutenant.
Odds are they're in loss of lieutenant, and odds are they've lost like 3 to 6 models in the arrival of this, which might just cripple them right out the gate. Like, oh, you have your HMG standing on a rooftop in a 5-man link. If I land right here, I can touch the back of that HMG and also these 2 guys in the link. What do you want to do? Well, we're gonna dodge. No, that's stupid. If we dodge, then he's just going to be there with a shotgun. So we'll break the link. The HMG is going to dodge, and these 2 are going to shoot you with 1 bullet each. Oh, they both hit me. One of them dies from the explosion. I take a wound. Like average rolls, this thing's a nightmare. Like I've played against it and it's so obnoxious. Like It's true. Sometimes you fail the drop. Like it's got a 15%
failure
failure rate, but that's what the second one comes down. And then if they're all just standing around, you're stuck with 6-2 dodge +2 shock immune heavy infantry running around.
And what I'm saying is, again, if this is a list to play. This isn't your primary Invincible Army list. This is a cool skew you could take in list 2.
Why not?
When you want to melt someone's brain with maddening death.
I think you bring one of these guys almost no matter what.
I think one
for 32
maybe, yeah.
points.
Yeah, one, sure.
Like, yeah, you don't have to bring 4, and like I can see why you wouldn't. But I don't see why there isn't a reason to bring one, if only for the out of line of fire sniper shell that hits somebody.
Yeah, and you're going to want fairy dust from the Pengling anyway, so having a Pengling to support your army is probably going to happen no matter what.
Yep. Like that, and the Pengling is also relatively cheap at only 15 points.
Sure
for
is,
the for that character.
And I think he has the coolest jump wings, the Yu Jing jump infantry.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't pay the, like, what is it, 15 and 32, the 47 points. Yeah, it's a sixth of your army.
Assassinate. Yeah,
but like even if you're like, you know what, there's no way I can line up the combat jump. It's too risky. I just parachute in the side of the board with my 2 wound guy and his shotgun, who's also 6'2".
Well, I look forward to seeing your list at the end of this in the Patreon chat.
Okay.
I
made the list that has 4 of them.
All right. Yeah. I know, but I want to see the list that has 1 of them. I want to see you pump your own brakes on this one. So then we get the Mo Wang, who's a weird profile because he's your size 5, so he's your big boy in a 40 mil base. But he's incredibly beefy and also has min-3 stealth and terrain total, which is weird. And then also shock immune, no wounding cap, so he's effectively got 3 wounds and staying operational. He's got 3 NCO profiles, and he's got the same kit on everything, and then 3 lieutenant profiles. But the kit is multi-rifle Red Fury or Spitfire. 2 of them have Flamen Spears. The Red Fury has an acrolite cannon as well. He's only 40-something points for a ton of beef. This is a big hitting piece.
This guy was an apology. We're sorry we took the Daiokai away. Here, this guy, he's just as good, right?
I mean, he's in some ways he's better.
Almost identical to the Daiokai, except for being worse in melee.
And having stealth.
They have stealth.
Do they have mimetism? That kid is.
They don't have mimetism.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a
big
deal.
They got the melee on top of that, and then the BS bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that he's like a beefy guy with BS14,
13.
That's what I meant. 13.
Because he's a
13. But he's Fizz 14.
Yeah.
Too bad he doesn't have grenades.
I mean, you can medkit this guy too, which is pretty great.
Yeah,
that would have been lovely.
You can make this guy back to life immediately.
Two tap him with a medkit and bring him back on 14s.
Yeah, and he's relatively inexpensive. His one downside is he only duos. You can't get him an extra burst.
Mm-hmm.
So he's only gonna have whatever burst he's gonna have, but you could do him with any of the wild cards, which is kind of cool.
I think it's like a pretty good arrow piece. Because you just have to chew through them.
You do have to chew through them, yeah. He doesn't really
if
have
only
a good
there
ARO
wasn't
weapon.
Another 40-ish point ARO poise size 5 guy.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
that's 3 profiles down.
That's 3 profiles down, yeah.
Yeah, this guy never unfortunately makes it into the lists I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
He seems so good, but it's just he's a bit pricey to bring on his own.
Well, he's lacking an outside 24 gun. Right, he has 2 brawler profiles, the Red Fury and the Spitfire, and then he's got a multi-rifle. He's got a Flamen Spear, which is a long-range weapon, but it's disposable, right? So you can't stand up and brawl forever. Yeah. So he has he doesn't have a ranged presence to, I think, take advantage of that platform.
Doesn't have any close combat shenanigans if he goes too close.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not in a fire team, which is where you want to brawl in the midfield, right? So he kind of doesn't fit any of the places you want to put him. So I don't think he's bad. I just think that he's awkwardly designed. And so because other pieces are more straightforward, like when we get to the N-How and it's oh, this guy just sits in the back of the table and murders things.
But he's got AVA 3.
There's probably some cool thing you could do here with the multi-rifle ones and doing coordinate suppression on your first turn and having these 3 pylons, coordinate move, coordinate suppress, and then that's it. They just stand there for the rest of the game while everyone runs around.
Your 120 points of group 2.
Yeah, like you go crazy with it. Or no, I'd have them in group 1 because like they're only going to cost you 2 orders off the bat, and
they're never going to die.
And it's going to take so long to get rid of that. Like armor 8 -6 just off, or -9 because they're going to have cover, mimetism, and suppression. Like you just shoot every time. Oh, I'm hitting you on 3s. That's okay. I might crit. Like just continue to throw dice at people, and like they do a wound, and they do another wound, and they do another wound, and they do another wound. Okay, we got 1 down. All right, 2 more.
Against certain armies, that's a nightmare. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, then we got Shang-Chi's, and what can we say about Shang-Chi's we haven't already said? They are they are chef's kiss. They are the preeminent heavy infantry of Yu Jing. Only BS13, but add shock to all their guns, immune shock, number 2, terrain total, dodge plus 2 inches, Fizz 14, arm 4 BTS 6, tons of attack aware profiles, paramedic profiles, APHMG profile. Actually, they do get the AP. I was just gonna say you couldn't see it for a second. The attack aware APHMG with the Tinbot Firewall -6, super popular, and they get the invincible tag, which means they can hang out in your invincible fire team, which is great.
See, this is the beginning of the 5-man fire team that gets all of the orders.
Yeah, I made a 10 model list that has 18 effective orders using these guys.
Amazing.
You can bring 5 of them.
Yep. You sure can. AVA5.
You only need 3.
Yeah, but it's just like this sub-faction is hilarious on its AVAs for all their heavy infantry and all their guys. It's just so high for everything, I feel like. And they're all expensive, so it's like you can never max these out, but it's insane.
Yep.
But yeah, Shang-Chi's, I think both tactical awareness, the AP heavy machine gun and then the heavy rocket launcher.
The FO one's good too. I like the FO one.
If you're playing this faction, you're gonna have some of these. The question might be how many. You might only have 2. Like I could see just having 2 AP HMG Shang-Chi's to lead each side of your core and your Harris teams.
Yeah.
Purely just because like that's 100 points, but they're good all the time. Like those guys there's never an inefficiency because there's sort of 2 orders, right? With the tac aware. So the fact that they're 50 points, they're kind of 25 points for effectiveness. And they have built-in firewall on top of that. Like you're gonna bring these every time. The only question is how many.
They're real good.
Yeah. Unlike their NCO, who I don't know why you would ever bring him. Immediately the other way. Tai Shang, the Zuyang Invincible's NCO.
Yeah.
For 40-ish points. He is just he's the other side of the coin for Captain Gao.
For Kirk Cop. Like, oh yeah.
Like Gao is like expensive lieutenant, okay, HMG, blah blah blah. And then the Lord of Thunder and this guy are looking at each other, and it's like, well, I'm chain of command for 44 or 43 points. It's like, yeah, me too for 32. Or Hadao for 26. And it's like, what else do you bring other than you're a guy who has a gun? Well, I got lots of those.
Yeah. They don't I mean, having a flash pulse, having a chain cold, the other guys all do that. The breaker combi's kind of neat. FO, NCO, like BS14 is the main thing they're bringing, and they don't have a long range gun to really take advantage of it, except for the Mark 12, which is not great.
No, I don't know why. Like again, for 40 something points, like consider too that like for the same 40 points, you get a tac aware Shang-Chi FO, who is just that guy, but tac aware.
And 1 more armor. 1 less BS, but
yeah,
whatever.
Built-in shock, I guess, on the other side, and terrain total and number 2. I don't know. I don't see why you bring them other than just another Shang-Chi Invincible.
Because they
went for style points.
I mean, if you're not taking crit Cockrum, then the NCO, if you're taking the Dai Shang, is pretty valuable actually. But there's plenty of other NCOs that are probably more valuable.
I mean, then you could have a Mo Yang for the same points who's an NCO.
Yeah, but the Tai Shang can still link.
Yeah. Or for 30 points, you can bring a Lu Xing. Like,
sure can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or a Yan Huao for slightly more.
Oh,
42
yeah,
points.
But let's talk about the
Wow.
Yanhao. I do
Yanhao.
love the Yanhao profile. This is your other size 5. BS14 this time. Bio immunity, which is interesting, which means it's taking its BTS saves on 5 instead of 3. 2 wounds, but no wounding cap. So slightly less beefy than Mr. Moang.
And no mimetism.
And no
is
mimetism,
also pretty
that's right.
significant.
Yeah.
And no stealth.
No stealth.
But he can link.
Well, yes. He can. He sure can. He can only duo though. I don't.
No,
he
can
get to Harris.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that means you can neurocinetic +1 burst Harris the missile launcher. Which means a burst 3 arrow missile launcher.
Link.
Huh? Oh, it's not a
Neurokinetic
CO, is it?
link.
Crap.
No, it's
Because
burst
otherwise
3
it
active.
3 bursts missile launcher. Oh,
I mean, 2 ARO with 3 active is still
That's
pretty
true.
good. Let me tell you
for
about
sure.
Octavia.
Sure thing.
yeah. It's the neurokinetics if you're not taking them in a link. Neurokinetic missile launcher.
Or the +1 burst missile launcher.
Yeah. Or the FTO missile launcher with +1 burst if you are bringing him in a link. I think that's it. He's so cool with the hypermagnetic cannon though, but
he's not reliable enough, I think, for that platform though, right? Only 2 wounds. I get that he's armed 5-2 wounds, but like that's a big brawler gun, and he's 48 points of investment there. I'd rather just have the Shang-Chi APHMG for the same stats basically, but also cheaper.
Yeah, but that missile launcher, oof.
It's very
take
cool.
A shot at him because he's
very
going to
cool.
he's going to throw some dice back at you.
That's
and
right.
If you fail any of them, if he hits you, you just explode.
You better not let him hit you. It's going to go really wrong, really fast.
It doesn't matter what model you are in the game; you can just instantly explode. Except for, I guess, total mean guys, but
even then, most of them only have 2 wounds. You still don't want to get shot by this guy.
No,
he's
for
still
sure.
multiple dicing.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you can definitely run a 10 order list with 4 of these guys, which is also one of my lists.
Tremendous.
I love that you can take 4 of them. You could just take
3 neurokinetic burst +1s, 1 with the extra missile with a Hadao and a Hadao, and then Dao Yang. 50 points of what you feel like.
You can take a Harris of just missile launchers. You just take 3
only
FTO missile launchers.
Just only skews from you guys.
You just take 3 of them, and then you spread them out on the rooftops as much as you can. You go, "Hello, my name is Anuka Batoya."
You actually can't put 3 of them in a link together.
Why not?
Yeah, their max AVA is 2.
Yeah, you have to put a Zhu Yang in there. Some loser Zhu Yang ruins it.
Ruining my. I mean, we could give some tack away.
You could.
Or just firewall. Give him like a firewall dude.
Yeah. Tack away firewall.
Fun around. Yeah.
It's both.
There you go.
31 points. We'll get to that. But
well, let's talk about the Zenshas though, because these are your midfielders. They have infiltration. BS12, Arm 3 BTS3. Again, these are the fake heavy infantry, 1 wound, no wounding cap, immune to shock. But infiltrate, camo, surprise attack -3, mim -3, train total, climb plus.
the climb plus is the cool part.
Yes, which means they're AVA 4 for these size 2s.
I told you, there's all the AVA everywhere.
That's it. You have access to a hacker and 2 FOs, boarding shotguns on the FOs and the hacker, and one of the FOs can take an SMG, Panzerfaust, and shock mines, but no mine layer, interestingly enough. I thought that the middle one, the 35.1, would have mine layer.
Mm-hmm.
Still expensive because that platform has got a lot of rules. 37 to 40 points, 35 to 40 points. But I
can't say enough about Camo Climbing Plus because you can start on a rooftop and then you can get down from the rooftop without difficulty.
Yeah, you can.
Which is so nice.
Again, though, do you see a place in the list for them when you
really.
could instead have the Liu Qing jump infantry just arrive in the middle of the table and explode people?
Yeah. And they're only BS12.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's not good either.
Again, all of these models are like 35 to 40 points. So when you're looking at one of these guys to add in to like do something new in this list, you kind of have to look at, well, who am I dropping? Because there's not a lot of condensing these fire teams' point values down, right? It's hard to, it kind of struggle to include these guys if you're going to do 2 fire teams.
The Bangalang FTO does drag some stuff down. But
it does, yeah, it makes it a bit cheaper. And so do the Hulangs, can make the Harris at least a little bit cheaper. And then we got the Zhu Yongs. These are the Invincibles themselves. They are the titular sort of like do everything heavy infantry. They are about as standard as you can get. BS13, arm BTS3, 2 wounds, shock immune, number 2 twice. For some reason, they have the number 2 roll twice.
Yeah. They eat a lot of fiber.
So twice.
They eat a lot of fiber.
And the dodge +1 inch that the Zanchis have. These are like souped up Zanchis. They've all got breaker pistol +1 burst, which I think is really neat. And they're cheap. Most of them are sub 30 points, between 25 and 30 points. You've got combi rifles with tin bot -6. You got an HMG profile, missile launchers, tac aware with the tin bot, tac aware HMG. You have a lieutenant that regenerates with an HMG. Man, these guys are fantastic. These are your cheap filler for your fire team with your Shang-Chi.
To make them. Anytime you fill, you start with the 31 point combi rifle, tac aware, tin bot.
Yes. Yeah. And then a paramedic, because you're not getting a doctor in here, and you want somebody to shoot medical bullets at your heavy infantry to bring them back to life.
But then you don't get tac aware.
Oh, you just take both. It keeps your fire team cheap because it's going to be pure anyway. They get the core team, right?
But what about more tac aware?
I mean, you can also get more tac aware. Sure. I'd also like to be able to push a button at some point, and the tac aware guy can't push a button.
That's what
the problem is the tac aware comes with another tin bot you just don't need. So I probably wouldn't double up on that.
I know it's tricky. It's tricky. I just want to spam all the tac aware all the time.
Yes, there's a huge temptation to do that. But a core fire team of like the Shang-Chi tac aware APHMG, a tin bot, like another firewall tin bot tac aware Zhu Yang, a Zhu Yang paramedic, and then geez, I don't even know, like another Shang-Chi maybe. Who would the second Shang-Chi be? Just the tac aware.
The tac aware heavy rocket and the tac aware
FO.
AP. Oh, that's true. The FO is probably
right because the FO takes you to the fourth slot.
You could probably get rid of the heavy rocket launcher.
I think I'd put the heavy rocket launcher in the separate in the Harris, maybe have that lead the Harris, or just have another APHMG lead the Harris.
Yeah.
But that gives you tac aware, three tac awares in that list, an FO, a paramedic, and 3 -6 firewall tin bots. So
that's not nearly enough tac aware.
You've got extras.
It's not nearly enough tac aware.
It's a lot of tac aware.
It's not nearly enough.
All right, fair enough. Anyway, the Zhu Yang Invincibles are going to be your fillers basically for your fire teams in that Invincible fire team, and they do a great job of it because they're still dependable. Like these guys are as good as some other armies' best heavy infantry. You know what I mean? They're like Teutonic Knights in whatchamacallit, in military orders. They're cheap, they're effective, and they have a profile for damn near everything. You have any comments about these?
No, you guys, that's all there's to say.
Solid.
Yeah.
All right. You get one tag, the Gueja. You're not going to take it because you're taking heavy infantry. If you're taking the Gueja, you've missed the point of this list.
Get out of here, Gueja. Nobody likes you.
And then you have access to all the standard Yu Jing remotes. So all the regular human remotes. There's nothing that makes yours particularly interesting.
There is one, and it is the Pangalang 12 point.
I was gonna say the AVA3 HMG is interesting.
Yeah,
they all get
AVA3 HMG.
Oh, the whole faction gets AVA3, don't they? That's right.
Yeah. The standout is the Pangalang being an FTO linkable repeater for 12 points, and he's wildcard. So
he's wildcard, yeah.
That's 2 of the Zhu Yangs. That is the cheapest model almost in the faction. Like the Zhang Shis are the only people that come in underneath him, and they can just be like, I'm number 4 or I'm number 3 or whatever. And then they're baggage repeaters too. So they can reload people when they're running around and stuff. Like there's a lot of, I think that is like a potentially unsung hero living in this faction for only 12 points. Like when you think about how many guns these guys have of like if you wanted to bring Mao Yang's, but you're like, I don't know, because he's only got Flamen Spears and such, and you're like,
right,
I have a 3-man link right next door who's filled with tac aware that could reload him. That's relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And again, just reducing the costs of teams. Like if you don't care about getting the fire team bonuses as much, and you're just looking for sheer like quantity of people,
right?
This little guy, and then he's a repeater, and like your Hadaos are not bad killer hackers. And because hackers are the thing you're going to be worried about, if your group of people with a Tinbot -6 also have a repeater with them, and it's like, I reveal my hacker on a rooftop and it's a, I don't know, scary whip 15 Hawkinson model, who I'm forgetting right now. You're just like, oh, Tinbot or
the assassin, the whatchamacallits, the Brids.
No, they're not the one. It's the TO infiltrating one.
Oh, your Turegs.
Turegs, yes. Turegs are the ones that these guys I think are more scared of, because the hidden deploy infiltration whip 15 breaker or carbonite is what's going to slow this faction right down. The little guy hacking and killing you isn't as worrisome, but this one showing up out of nowhere is, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
But then your Pangalang steps up and is like, I'll deal with this, sir. I died.
Don't worry.
For it. It was
I've got this.
Light shotgun, light shotgun, light shotgun.
Light shotguns everywhere. That's funny. Yeah. Well, then it comes down to list writing. We all wrote a list, right?
I wrote 2 lists.
I wrote 1.
One was a reasonable list.
I wrote 1 reasonable list-ish. We'll see if it's reasonable or not. Why don't you go first, Owen? Do reasonable, then your skew.
So the reasonable one was kind of a skew still. I can't help it in this faction. It's got too much cool.
Can't help it ever. Shut up in this faction.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is the one that uses Shang-Chi's rather than not, because the other one doesn't have any in it. Let's see here. I'm going to post it in the patrons chat so you can see it along with me here. Zuyang, tactical awareness with the combi rifle Tinbot -6. Like Dan said, is such a good starting point. Teamed up with a Shang-Chi forward observer tac aware multi-rifle, with a Shang-Chi tac aware heavy rocket, and a Shang-Chi tac aware heavy rocket, and Cockrum with his multi-rifle FTO. That's a 5-man team. They have NCO in Cockrum and a Dao Ying lieutenant with +1 order. So they have 4 tac awares, 5 regular orders, and 2 NCO lieutenant orders in that 5-man team. And they can fight at every range, from rockets to shotguns to rifles, whatever you want to do. They can also complete basically any objective, having access to an engineer and a forward observer. And then the rest of it has a neurocinetic +1 burst missile launcher as a kind of Overwatch piece, 2 tac aware repeater bots with your Wei Bings, and then a flashball spot because I had 7 points left.
That's funny. And how many orders is it? 18?
Yeah, so you've got 10 regular orders, 6 tac aware orders, and 2 lieutenant orders with access to NCO.
That's hilarious. And you're ultra mobile because you're in fire teams.
And they're either fire teams or they're fast 6'4" robots. And yeah, now what happens when your guys die? You lose. But that's what always happens. Oh, also the Dao Yang is the multi-sniper that you were talking about with the mine layer.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that. I want to be harder to kill because there's no chain of command here. There's no coming back. So if they come after you and they I don't know, drop a drop troop on your head that explodes, you might just die. So
sure might.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my like, here's playing into, you get to bring all of these different things. They're heavy infantry. There's lots of them. And you have access to like terrifying Overwatch beast that is the Yanhuo. I think he's also in my list of like, how do you not bring one?
He's just so cool.
He's cool, and he's got a terrifying gun.
He sure does.
Like, nobody wants to fight that. Atalanta doesn't want to fight that because there's like even odds she just dies when he comes after her. Oh yeah, she'll hit him like what, 20% more, but if he ever hits her, she dies. Anyway, that's mine. One of them.
Sweet. What about your skew?
The skew is the drop troops, because of course it is. The list is called the gimmick. It is exactly what it says on the Tim. What happens? Bixie has to carry the whole faction.
After these guys arrive, it's all on you, Bixie. Holy crap! Look at this.
It is Pangalang.
Oh my god! And then triple whose songs? You're a monster.
Triple TR HMG. Dao Yang Lieutenant +1 order multi sniper again because Bixie has NCO, and then some guys who might get shuffled into Group 1 as needed.
Oh my god, look at this nightmare. This absolute nightmare.
Yeah, so it's Pangalang, Evo Hacker, for those of you who can't see this list. And then it's losing Drop Trooper with boarding shotgun ×4.
Just stapled on 4 times.
HMG ×3. Daoyang, Sniper, Lieutenant, Mine Layer, Bixie. And then in group 2, you have a Flashball Spot and a War Core. And if your opponent goes first, you just duck and you have maybe 1, maybe 2 of the HMGs like slowing them down. And then if you go first, they're going to reduce your main order pool by 2. So you normally would have 6 orders to start. You'll have 4. Then you'll spend 4 orders of these guys, or spend 1 of those 4 orders, turn on +3 to drop troopers. Ideally, you want to play this mission or this list into Firefight, giving the extra +3 to drop troopers. So there's no failure state on your losings anymore, which means you're just explosion, 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 explosion. And yeah, look at the backside of their board, like walk over to their side of the table and see who's prone behind a building with only 1 approach and land right on that guy. And if you die, do it again.
I think my only comment would be to put the Pangalang in group 2, the Chaye in group 1, and the Daoyang in group 2. Because the Dao is not going to do anything until later on in the game. So having him in group 2 probably makes more sense. And
I was nervous about the Pangalang in group 2 because if your opponent is savvy and knows where this could go, they could reduce you to no orders in that pool.
You just but they can't reduce the workhorse, so you just convert his order into a
that's
regular.
Fair. That's fair. And then the Daoyang needs to be in the same group as Bixie because you can't use the lieutenant order across the groups.
They can.
Yeah. And CO can use it no matter what.
Use it no matter where it is. Yeah, no matter where it is.
Okay. I thought it was because they were generated in that group.
Nope. The lieutenant order floats across the whole
there you
whole
go.
thing. Yeah,
you could do it that way.
That'd be my only comment because he's gonna sleep. They're gonna sleep, right? So you put the safe stuff over there, and then the stuff that might die goes in group 2. But I like that list. That's cool. Go paint it, play it, show people the way, play a gimmick, and melt people's brains.
Steal from Dan. Play it that way. Look, Dan, it's 4 robots. A camel
dirty
marker.
Hands off my Yu Jing.
I have a Bixie. I have a War Core.
You can make all these things happen. That's right.
Literally all I need are the actual jump troopers.
Yeah, I don't.
We should just start a fun with the patrons. That's just make Owen's gimmick list. Like, has anyone got these parts? And we'll make the gimmick lists, and we'll have these as like
you can only buy the losing drop trooper hacker model. That's what I mean. Like that exists.
That's what I mean. Like, if people have these in their bits box because they're not using them, like we do like a drive, basically being like, "Would you like Owen to play something absolutely stupid? Can we collect the models to do this?"
I think if we were filming them, be a better case for that, because then you at least get to see the play out of it. Where it's
maybe we could do that as like the ringer army for our events. We do like a stupid army for every event, and we try and write like a gimmick list like this where everybody knows about it and it's coming, and like there's no hidden information. Basically, everybody knows what the joke is. Do something like that. It'd be a fun project to do. Well, mine's way more restrained. I took a more traditional, like it's only 15 orders. Because it's only 4 attack awareness, because I pumped the brakes on this. But it's a core link, which has got all its fire team bonuses. Leading with the Shang-Chi HMG, AP HMG, Shang-Chi FO, the multi-rifle, attack aware Zuyong Tinbot, Zuyong Paramedic, Zuyong attack aware combi rifle. And then Harris team with a Zhanchi Paramedic, Crit Cockrum FTO, and Bixie as like the Harris team, 2 Chaye remotes with the repeaters, and a Pangalang hacker with the Evo hacking device, so I can throw out some fairy dust. And that's it. Nice standard double fire team silliness. What about you, Dan?
I'm struggling to make something that works. I'm making an inferior 18 and 10 list. I thought I could do better, but it doesn't look like I can. Right now, I have 9 regular orders and 5 irregular or 5 back aware. But I only have. But I'm also 4 points over. Basically, I have failed completely at list building.
Really?
I'm like, wait, I can't make this work.
When men have failed as completely as you have, they would fall on their swords.
Wait, I could take 1 tack aware out from the Ziyang. And
I do think this faction is a struggle of like what direction do you want to go?
Yeah, because they all cost like 40 points. It's actually kind of hard almost to juggle, like, where do you place that
without like over committing into like certain group and then spreading around a bunch of like cheapos. Like you can get down in points if you start bringing like the Pangalangs, the flash pulse bots, the stuff, and then like Zhangxis, because like they're still there. You could still bring Zhangxis and have like really cheap under 60 point team, and then a whole bunch of the like 40, 50, 60 point guys, or not a whole bunch, but like a core of like 4 of them. And like you could do that, and I think there's like a viable list in there. And in all fairness, like all 3 of the lists that I made, they don't make it to 15 models. Even the one where it's like it's a bit more serious, where it's the first list with a lot of tackware to carry it,
right?
Even with 3 or 4 models that are under 20 points, I'm still creeping on 40 average point cost, like 38 for every guy in my list. That's pricey. You're gonna feel it when every one of those guys dies from an enemy critting you on a 4.
It's true. You definitely are.
I mean, at least you get 2 wounds each, so you get some leeway.
Yeah.
And high enough armor that you make a save.
That's why you bring losings.
All of the losings.
I think that's the craziest list. We had a conversation about this, Dan and I, one night, about like, what is the thing that I think could cripple the like Hawk Islam list that I play a lot with the Sunduck butts and all that?
Right.
I have no idea how that list fights against the losing drop list that I made.
Yeah.
Like, but if the 2 of them squared off against each other, there's no way, like nobody's going to enjoy that, because like McMurrow can't do crap because there's 3 HMG bots. You do have the Fides, but Fides don't want to fight Bixie because she'll beat them. And a TR bot will trade his life to kill that guy on his way in. And there are more HMGs than there are Fides. Fides don't do well discovering and killing lieutenants either. And also one of them's a mine.
Yeah.
So I guess they can go for the Evo hacker. And that's if they go first. If they don't go first, those idiot drop troops are going to land all over the little like gulams hiding in the backfield that are like the crux of the army, because you lose your lieutenant, you lose your specialists all at once. Like, what do you do? Oh, you've got all of these extra camo markers like scattered across the board now. Okay, we killed him when he came down. All it cost us was the game.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what you do. That's a lot of like be able to be anywhere doing damage 12 blasts onto people. Dodge out of the way, I guess. Help you live.
And then he
shoot Daylamis at him. Just protect everywhere with Daylamis.
Yep, you got to choose Sunduck butts. So like, if he lands, like put your guy. You might go so crazy as to just put your people on a rooftop together and hope you dodge.
Yeah,
and then that way when he lands, you hit him. But then he's going to do it 4 times.
No. This is what you do. You cover the rooftop so there's no more room.
No,
you can stand on rooftops in such a way that he can't fit his base to land too. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go, you're not welcome here. No room in this inn.
We are closed for your Lushing jump infantry.
Pool's closed.
Let's go home.
No jumping in.
No jumping in today. Hannibal. Well, that's it. We rounded out. We did it. We did another one. We did Invincible Army. This is probably the most one-dimensional of these 3 lists. It has just like it's meat and potatoes heavy infantry all over the place.
But you can build it in so many ways.
Yes, but all the I think what's interesting is all the pieces are the same shape, because everyone's in that 30 to 40 or 20 to 30 point range. Like when you plug someone out, you just plug in a guy who's roughly the same point value, which I find interesting. Not a lot of armies are like this, and because all of the pieces are kind of the same shape, it's a bit easier to slot them around. I found.
Also, Dan, for your enjoyment, I did post a 6-swick 300 point quadruple Yuan Huo list.
Yeah, I saw that when Ash was like, I didn't go full crazy, and then you posted that list at the same moment. I was like, bullshit, you didn't go crazy.
Yeah, that wasn't me. Yeah, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Mine has 2 SWC. His has 6. That is just absolutely the tires have come off and it's grinding along on the rims. This list just sparks flying down the
4
road.
Yanhuos.
4 neurostatic Yanhao missile launchers, all staying on the same rooftop, looking at the same places.
One of them is in a link team with 2 Pangalangs. He's the active turn you
He's the active turn one. Yeah. He's what are you doing? We're playing Rocket Arena. This is Quake Rocket Arena. Let's go.
Yep.
Can you take 2 of those Pangling FTOs? Cool.
You bet you can.
Oh, you bet you can. And they're wild cards. Let's go.
I told you, they're the unsung hero.
Yeah,
I really think they are.
Yeah,
this is my problem. Was it's like I want to do all of the things that all of your list did all at once. I'm like, I don't have enough points. I don't know what's going on. I only have 8 models in my list and I'm maxed out. I'm over points. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of temptation, and you gotta kind of like shuffle things, don't you?
I think like your guys' much more experienced list building actually helps out a ton here. Like I think it's deceptively complicated to build lists with this faction, even though it is one-dimensional-ish.
Well, because it's competing value, right? It's like you're trying to figure out all these guys look good, but what's the right one for this job? Like I think that's the hard thing to kind of parse when everything's the same shape and the same rough point value.
I think this faction is going to live or die by what the scenarios are that you're playing. What event did you go to? And like if you know your missions, if you know your models and how to play those missions, like I said, if you're playing into somebody and there's firefight on that list, your list will have the losing combo. Maybe you only brought 2 in that list, but you're gonna do it because there's nothing like there's so few things in the game that can reach out and guaranteed affect somebody. Like, would you not take the one that is I land in the middle of your army and just start killing?
Yeah. I go where I want with a boarding shotgun. I kill your lieutenant.
Hey, is that guy a specialist? Blam.
Dr. Shotgun has arrived. Paging Dr. Shotgun.
I'm gonna hit you with a carbonite as you land. Okay.
Cool.
You died. Mission accomplished, sir.
Yeah. You're also dead because I landed on you while you did that. I can't move now, but I'm on top of you and your skull's crushed.
Brick. And you don't have any legs.
That's right. Yeah, but I broke your spine when I came in.
Yeah.
I DDT'd you out of the sky.
In the same way that if you like the Zenchas, I wouldn't do it on be aware if the scenario has a limited insertion. Like you have a really good, or not limited insertion, exclusion zone. Yeah, because they're a really good infiltrating unit because they're effectively camo infiltrating heavy infantry. But if you can't infiltrate, what have you done? Now you're just paying for what are essentially just beefed up expensive Shang-Chi's. So just be aware. Just know your scenarios. If you have to go in and take a room and hold it, Mao Yang might be the way to do it.
No more Wangs, yeah.
Because if that guy just walks up and stands in the doorway and says, I suppress, he's going to be real hard to get rid of. Doesn't matter what they send after him.
Yeah, he's not leaving the bar after last call. That guy's going to show up and do what he wants.
And even if it ends up being little things, you duo him with somebody with a,
you can do it with little, but even Zuyong Tackaware Timbot for 31 points.
Can you give him in there? You might not be able to, actually.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, you could do it with a Shang-Chi, though.
Yeah.
The Shang-Chi Timbot can team up with the Mao Wang, and then those two are we're going to break into this room and we're going to hold it. And all of a sudden, he's effectively BTS 9 and -6 to hack and suppressing and blah, 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 blah. Or he brings a Pangolin, and it's boss. I think that's the name of the game. You need to know the scenarios. Build a list in the void. There's all kinds of random crap you could throw at the wall, but
if you know your missions, I think you're right. This faction has a lot of tools to accomplish them in a really powerful way.
Yeah, they can really specialize. This is my list for room missions. This is my list for zone of control missions.
For firefight, scoring zones.
Here's my firefight mission because I don't bring any specialists and I've come to kill you.
And even better than military orders. Military orders doesn't have a lot of the flex pieces that this list has.
Military orders back has been broken, and many other factions have filled in the hole that it used to have. When we ever get to talking about Pano, I'm gonna rant for 30 minutes about how I hate what military orders has become. Because I hate it. I hate the faction. If all the models of all the AVAs, it kills me.
They're your favorite, and now they're not.
They were the favorite, and then they killed them. Took them out back in Old Yellerdom. I was in work though. I wasn't even there to see it.
See it far away.
Owen always gets so excited about Infinity, and then like military orders like escapes.
I know.
And there's like this long.
I know. It's immediately triggering for him. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, we did it. We've got stuff left in the mailbag for next week, which is great. We have gotten through 2 of our 4, including, well, I mean, the last one's the vanilla recap for Yu Jing. And thank you all so much for listening. And thank you to our patrons who make this possible, and for everybody who is gearing up for Summer Siege, which is in August. And for you, Owen and Dan, for hanging out and talking Infinity with me.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm less excited to play Invincible Army now.
Don't be,
because I have no idea.
Because you're confused and afraid. You're just nervous.
Here's the thing: I have other factions to play. I have other things leaned into it. I'm still excited to play Invincible Army, but just not first.
Got it.
I feel like I need to.
I think White Banner's. I think you should just do them in the same order that we talked about them. Start with White Banner and work your way backwards.
White Banner remotes.
Yeah, White Banner remotes.
Invincible Army remotes.
All right, night everybody.
Keep it simple. Bye.
Bye.